control by, this is like my visual aid, but it's just kind of going to be, it's like a slideshow, it's just going to play automatically, so they're just like images and like, while I was researching like pictures I found and stuff, so you might find them kind of interesting, I guess. Okay. Most of us, when we hear the word guns in today's society, think of two things. It's either, since we live in Kansas, hunting, or on the eastern coast, the shootings that happen and all the violence that's been going on in today's world. People think just because there's a shooting, let's just crack down and take away guns. But in my opinion, I don't think that's the exact way to go about this. The idea that limiting the size of a magazine or enforcing background checks, the idea that that can just stop a shooting, I don't think is effective. To me, there's three main issues with the shooting. First off, the ability whether or not there was a gun, like whether or not citizens can carry guns. So like in a prohibited area, like you walk into McDonald's, you're not supposed to have a gun on you. The second one being the mental state of the shooters. Most of the times, if you look at the shooters, they're definitely not in the right state of mind when the shooting's happening, and I think that can have a great effect on the shooting because of the mood that the shooters were in. Finally, the type of gun being used and its looks versus its function. A lot of people like to discriminate guns because of the way they look, but don't necessarily recognize their function. Having grown up and been around guns my entire life, I realize that they can cause a lot of damage, but after researching and realizing, I think that there's more than just the gun that is the issue in the shootings. To me, the main two reasons are the mental state of the shooters, and then the laws that allow us to carry guns around us, such as concealed carry. The common assumption of it to everyone after shooting is, let's just take away the guns, and I'm sure we all feel that way. It's like what he said with exercising. If you want to get better, I think you need to eat healthier and go on a diet. But with guns, I feel that it's a little different. Some of the options that have been pushed by the government are like a buyback program. So, say you're walking out to the mailbox and you get a flyer from the mailman. It's from the government, and they're just saying, hey, we want to buy guns back from you. We'll pay you cold cash if you give your guns to us. Now, for some people, that'd be a no-brainer. Let's just get free money for our guns that we already have. But I don't think it works that way. With over 300 million guns in the United States, I don't think buying back guns is a great process, and I think it's spending money in the wrong direction towards fixing the problem. I think they need to focus their money and spend it in other areas, such as mental state and security of the public places where guns cannot be carried by citizens. And if they did try to take away the guns, I don't think that it would stop the violence. In fact, I think it would make it worse. A person without a gun is actually more vulnerable to attacks from robbers and people trying to cause harm than someone who's carrying a gun because they have no self-defense. Many of the shooters who are approached, such as these right here, are under psychoactive drugs. Now, if you don't know what that is, the psychoactive drug is basically a pill that changes the way the brain functions. Many of the times they're overdosed on them, but basically what it does is change your consciousness, so people start to see things and hear things that they wouldn't normally hear in their normal moods. People like to blame the guns, but like I said, if you see those shooters, they're definitely not in the right state of mind when they go shoot up schools. And I think that if we were able to change that, it would be able to change the way that the shootings happen and the outcomes from them. The second point that I want to touch on is whether or not you can carry guns in public places. We've all seen them, shopping malls, schools, with their red circle and that cross through them with a gun. Basically, they say that you can't have a gun in there no matter what. Whether you have a concealed and carry license or not, you can't have a gun in there. Well, when a shooter is overdosed on drugs, these are perfect places for them to take out their angers and where people can't defend themselves. They feel almost safe in these environments, knowing that they won't have a gun pointed back at them. I think that by having citizens carry firearms, the shooters could be stopped, slowed down, or even have their minds changed if they had a gun pointed back at them. It might even be able to coax them long enough to where local forces could get there to take stronger measures. People seem to think that it's just pistols that shoot up places, but I don't think it's that. Any gun that is semi-automatic, I think, can cause danger, and I do think that there needs to be measures taken against guns themselves. generally speaking, the typical person with a concealed carry has a pistol that is just a semi-automatic gun, which a semi-automatic gun shoots more than once. So that could include everything from a hunting shotgun to a rifle that's military. But today's world, it seems like shooters are able to get their hands on more weapons that are powerful than just your typical pistols, which leaves the citizens underpowered when they're approached by shooters. The NRA does strongly agree that, or strongly believes in their right to hold guns, which is the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment just states, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. People feel safe by having the Second Amendment, but as you see in this picture, guns can be anywhere and everywhere. And I think that we need to have stronger security, especially during schools and places where people aren't allowed to carry them, like I said. Anyone can walk into a school with a guitar case or something, but do we know that it has a guitar in it? I think that by having security in places like this, we could really have an impact on the shooting. Although it may cost the government more money, I think that spending money in areas like this will have a better effect on if we were to spend money in places like trying to buy back guns or trying to shut down gun dealerships or places that distribute guns. Because either way, criminals do not illegally acquire guns, and they will definitely still be able to get them no matter what the government does. Another problem that people have is just by giving our government a chance. They feel that if they give them an inch towards gun control, they will take a mile, and eventually there will be no guns left. But trust me, with over 300 million guns, like I said, there's definitely no way that they can just take care of all the guns. In my opinion, guns do cause mass shootings, so I'm not going to say that guns don't kill people, because I think guns and people kill people. But I think that by taking a different route than we've been taking, I think that gun control can definitely be changed. The question that is often asked with us living in Kansas is why a person who's hunting is ridiculed because they own a gun, because there was a shooting in California. The problem with mass shootings is that people are shot with a gun and automatically make innocent gun owners like us and our families look like bad people just because we have a gun. They place negative images on us, and people who are against guns completely definitely look at us as bad people. I think guns have been around for well over a century, though, and I don't think that they will just go away. So people, I think we should all come together and unite as one force towards something other than just taking away guns. Because I don't think that the government is doing the right thing and just trying to take guns away from people, like I said. Shootings are definitely a tragedy, but blaming the tool is like chasing a squirrel around a tree. You're just going to keep going in the same direction, and you'll never be able to catch up and get rid of all the guns. And eventually, you won't find yourself making any headway and just be continuing the same pattern. As of now, we still continue to be at risk because obviously criminals don't acquire their guns legally, and they're not just going to give them back to the government. So if I was the government, I think it'd be smart to spend money in a different direction, especially in public places where I think more protection is needed than just depending on the cops to get there as fast as they can. I think that although some of us may not exactly be for guns, I think that having people with concealed carry license around is a good thing and can definitely help affect shooters when they come in. And because I know if I was approached by someone with a gun and I didn't have one, I would definitely want someone close by with one to even slow things up. And that's it.